Right, good morning. It's a Sichah printed in Chilik base, part of the project of the Sichos, page 47. It's Benegay the Parsha Shemini, second Sichah. It's a siyum on the entire Seder Taras. The Rebbe made then a siyum in the entire Seder, and Kol Shas, the Mishnah. This was a Sichah that the Rebbe said Yitas Kislev. It's part of also what the Rebbe said Motzei Shabbos Parshas Vayeshev, Miketz. Tafshin Lamed Ches. The Rebbe starts like this. Aleph. Die letzte Masechta von der Shishi said that the Mishnah Masechta 18. Redt wegen die Proti Dinim von Thomas Eichlem and Thomas Mashkin. Wir stehen mit Parshasenu. So, the last Masechta of the Shishi Siddur Mishnah is Masechta 18. What does that Mishnah speak about? It speaks about the details of the laws of food and liquid getting tummy. Which says in our parsha. Whereas the last halacha of the Masechta is, what's the last halacha of the Masechta? Chalish Tavash, it says it like this. It says about a honeycomb, when does a honeycomb become susceptible to tumah as a liquid? The halacha is that there are certain liquids that become tummy. So, like you started saying in the beginning, there's a solid and then there's a liquid. So, once something is a solid, sometimes it is susceptible to tumah, sometimes it's not, but there is mashkin that can become susceptible to tumah. So, when does that start? So, the Mishnah says that there's a machlekes. Bishama says, when a person starts thinking about using the honeycomb or using this solid for a liquid, like the Tzvita Girsor, according to the second, is Mashiach Charker, which is different shot on what that means. Sometimes when you singe it or when you smoke it. So that's, according to Mishami, that's when the honeycomb becomes susceptible to tumah. And Basila says, no, Mishi Yerasik. You have to actually start using it. Now, Mishami halten, as gleich wie der Mensch is mahar b'machshavte lirdis hadvash, bakumtes adin mashke unesit vert tumah b'tumas mashke. Shame holds that when a person starts thinking in his mind to use the honey, so then there becomes a din of liquid, and it becomes tummy tumas mashkin. Shaking late bishilo, es is metame mishmashke esh mashirase was done by the mashke bepel. However, bishilo holds that it only becomes tummy when it actually becomes an actual liquid in actuality. Right there, in the Mishnah Shalach is there, the last Mishnah from the Shishi, so the Mishnah state, then how does the last Mishnah conclude? Amri B'Shov and Levi. Also, the Lishwar Chalachanach Chalachol Tzadik V'Tzadik Shleish Meis V'Esrei V'Asara Ilamis Shnemer Lachanach Levi Yesh V'Tzisem Amali. It says, Rabbi Shov and Levi says that eventually when Mashiach comes, Hashem is going to give as an inheritance to every Tzadik 310 worlds, as the pasuk says in Mishlei. The Hanachil Oya Yesh, that he's going to give to those who love him. Yesh is B'Gematria 310, and Hashem says their Eitzern I will fill. Amr B'Shuv Mechalafta. B'Shuv Mechalafta says LeMatzak Hakadosh Baruch Hu Klimasik Rachel Yisrael El Hashem, that Hashem did not find a vessel to hold the Yidden, a master Rachel Yisrael only Hashem. Shneimah says Hashem is Amin, Hashem Yirach Samim Hashem. So the Rebbe says like this. Start from Hashem, you have to understand. Was is the Shaithness for the last Mishnah, the Amora from the Vishum Levi or the Vishum Chalafta? So the Mishnah should definitely said the Puksa Tvishim Bisham and Beisil, but again Chalis. What's the connection between this last part of the Mishnah, which says that Hashem is going to give every tzaddik 310 Elim Leis, and Lam Otzak the Baruch Hu Kimasat Rachel Yisrael Hashem, to the whole maflekas between Bishame and Basil. The Rambam, or Nachman Mefarshim Zanim Mavar, the Rambam and Pirshim Mishnayos explains over here, and other Mefarshim, the Rosh and others explain that Mavar, the Fishi Hishtim Koldini Halacha, since now Mishnayos is finishing Halacha, Chosim Hadvorim Begomu. What does that mean? That says, the Mishnah Takanit Kin Hemshech B'Teichen into the Mishnah Shadufano. In actuality, according to the Rambam, the Mishnah has no connection to what we said before. This is a conclusion on the entire Shishi Sidney Mishnah. Why? The idea b'chasimas ha-mishnah man schar shel tzadikim shelimdim u'mekayim kol ma shepasu mishnah. So in order that the tzadikim who learn mishnayos and conclude mishnayos should know the reward that Hashem is going to give tzadikim who are mekayim what it says in the mishnah. That's what the Rambam says. The Rambam says like the ober we find in the Gemara bekam mekemis. However, what we find in many places in Shas, in the beginning of Tainis and Seita and Makkas and other places, there's always an intrinsic connection between everything. Is min mevar dem tamas michas for the Mishnayos afili when they stehen zu achar zu in a bazun in Masechtas. We always explain why Mishnayos are next to each other. Ve'alachas kama v'kama tzei Mishnayos from demselben perek. For sure, two Mishnayos that are in the same perek. Chedish melkom zu zuchten and mevar zayin oich die shaites for the zwei Mishnayos. So you must say that, based on what we find in many places in Shas, that there's a special connection in Mishnayos between the two Mishnahs, especially when it's in the same parak. Good morning, warners. I'll make a recap. Okay, so we said like this. We said, holding base, it's second base. We said like this. We said, in this week's parsha speaks about Tumas Mashkim, speaks about different liquids when they become, sometimes there's different halachas that when a liquid could become tummy or susceptible to tummy. So send it to the chef. So in the last Masechta of the Mishnayos, of Shishah Siddur Mishnah, Masechta Uktzin, speaks about the halachas of Tumas Eichlin and Tumas Mashkim, when a food becomes tummy, when a liquid becomes tummy. And the last halacha in the Masechta that speaks about a honeycomb. It's called an halacha. It's called I don't know what the Masechta. It's called the halacha speaks about a chalas dvash, a honeycomb. So the Mishnah says, when does a honeycomb, when does a chalas dvash, when does it become tummy? So machlekes Mishamei and Bisil. Mishamei says that a chalas dvash becomes tummy when mishiyahara, when you start thinking about using the honeycomb, or when you start either singeing it, that's when it becomes tummy. Basil says no. Mishi Rasig, you actually have to use the honeycomb. You actually have to take the solid and make it into liquid. Then it becomes tummy. Now, then later on in the Mishnah it says that Amr Bishub and Levi, that when Mashiach comes, Hashem is going to give as an inheritance to every tzaddik 310 worlds. As the pasuk says, Lahanchel Oyev Yesh. Yesh is Gematria 310. So it's telling us that Hashem is going to give to his Oyavet, his inheritor, to his people he loved, as an inheritance, he's going to give 310 worlds. Then, the Mishnah says, Amr b'Shimon Chalafta, Hashem did not find a klimas brachal Yisrael, Ela Sholem, as it says, Hashem Oizdam Yidin, Hashem Yivarach Hashem B'Sholem. So the Rebbe says, what's the connection between the machlekes between Misham and Bezilul about Chalis Tvash becoming tummy, when it becomes tummy, to what we're saying about every tzaddik is going to get 310 worlds. So the Rambam says the connection is that he's telling us this, that a person, like a tzaddik who learns Kol Shisha Siddur Mishnah, he's finishing Mishnayos now, so the Pashtus went in order, he's telling us what the tzaddikim will finish Mishnayos, what they're going to get. The Rebbe says that we find in many places in Shas that everything has a connection one to another. So obviously if it's in the same perek next to each other, it must be that there's a connection. We're holding base now. So to understand this by first prefacing what the Mefarshim say. As a siyum von Shishah Siddur Mishnah b'ma'amarim hanals b'chdei zum idea sein in matan skorin shel tzadikim. Now, the Rambam says, what's the reason why Mishnayos finishes with telling us about schar? Is to tell us, to notify us the matan skorin of tzadikim, that the tzadikim, what reward they're going to get. So the Rebbe says, the Lecher is nicht verstanden, it's not understood. Da redt sich doch wegen tzadikim, wie sie halten schön, wir sehen von Shishah Siddur Mishnah. We're talking about tzadikim who are concluding Mishnayos shleimus with Likkutei Sichos, which means that they're completing the Likkutei Sichos. So we're talking about finishing, not how we finish Mishnayos. We're talking about a tzaddik, how a tzaddik is finishing Mishnayos over here. Is the halachene portion of the movement, as a halten schön gewiss bei dem Eufen Arbeiter Leut Tzivya Mishnah noch besidden Nezikin Mishamshin Es Harav. So obviously, or Papashas, we're talking about tzaddikim over here that are serving Hashem not in order to attain reward. Nitzlib Skar, we're not talking about people that are learning in order to get a scar or to be manful illuminous. We're talking about tzaddikim over here, real tzaddikim that are finishing Shishi Siddin Mishnah, are finishing Torah, and the mefashtos are holding at a level that the Shlem will not couple press. Furthermore, their pasuk was advert gebracht in the Mishnah Gufas up. What is the pasuk which the Mishnah brings? It says lahanchil oya veyesh, to give as a Yerusha to those who love me, or those who I love, yesh, which means, like we said, 310 words. We'll watch the 310. Huh? My love. I give those who love me, who I love, yesh, 310. Divas din them interesting me'ab, which means those who serve Hashem out of love. What does mean, like the Rambam explains at length, as a tu as their avodah lishma, which means that they do their avodah for the sake of Hashem. They're fulfilling what Hashem wants, not for a reward, but because they meet it with His truth. The Rebbe says in practice, emes taka as der was is oisa emes v'nei emes is moved off with the Rambam of dart as seif hateva lovi biglala. Obviously, he's going to get. The Rambam says he's going to get goodness from it because of it. Nor nicht das is die Schleimus zu welcher strebt zu der Griechen mit seiner Arbeit. It's not the reason. It's not the goal to get a reward. By not Oivil Hashem Abba is there even for safe Hateva Lo Mibigola Nar Davar Tafel study. This he's going to get something from it. It's something secondary. When that Iker by him is was Hatzeichi Gevan, so didn't them Ebershtel Lishma. So the main thing by him is to serve Hashem Lishma for the sake of Hashem. Ipadas the Iker Tachas and Avedis Aterim Mitzvahs is Lishma and Nitla Kabbalah Sadar. So since the main and Tachas Aveda of a Tzaddik, which he's the Avodah of Terem Mitzvahs is the Shema not the Kabbalah Sadar. He is Masim. So how's it fitting? As beim Siyam von alle Shishi Siddin in the Mishnah was das mean in a Matzah von Tachlis Hashem was Nala Bavedas Hashem Chuli, well the Sima Zayin nicht as Nafshik Shura Ba'avas Hashem Chuli. Not like the Rambam says that his soul desires that he should get connected to Hashem, nor was vet Haben Shai Ilumais Chuli als Gomul Skar Farah. But there's a mitzvah. What are you saying? You're saying that why do we conclude the Mishnah is this way to tell the tzaddik he's going to get Shai Ilumais? It's not. We're talking about a tzaddik over here which attained a level and he doesn't. This doesn't talk to him. Yes, thank you. I'm going to get some money in the bank. That's not the reason why I'm doing it. So I'm not doing it for a scar. Which was other than says we have to say as the Zaf and the handful for the Shai Ilumais was Retzich and the Mishnah da is not an inyan for Schar Mitzvahs. We're not talking about regular star mitzvahs. Atashto from Ilumais for Ilumais Hashem. It's not a reward that Hashem is giving us, nor this is a Hechen Shtemis Ba'aveda. And aliyah to welfare, they're even ma'abed the great idea with us. So we're talking about, you must say, we're talking about a level of aveda that the tzaddik is going to get after this aveda. Gimel. Und das ist nekudas Hashanah zwischen der Mishnah mit der Mishnah Shlefanel tuxus beisham beisulo b'chalas tvash. This is the kuda, the connection we said between the Mishnayos of getting a reward and the machlekes between Beisham Besilol when they get to Chalis Dvash, to honeycomb. Ma'atayim Maderach HaRemez was the left aloft in Mishnah, Chitum Mishnah, which we know shall call Hadach Achar Chitum. Everything goes based on the conclusion. So that Beregea, Beirim, and Dvash. We're talking about honey and bees, as well the Burim, the Beirim, Kibir Chazal Meramas of Shleimus Aveda Lishma. We're going to explain how the honey, how bees allude to Shleimus Aveda. We'll explain that in Sif Zayin. But the Aveda is Achana v'Akdama to us HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'Hana l'Chol Tzadik. This Aveda of bees is a Achana, is a preparation and a preface to that Hashem is going to give a Shai Ilumais. Talking about honeycomb. So it says.
Before when the honeycomb is in the hive, what status is it? Is it? It's a solid. So the question is to be Makabel Tumah. So when
it's only going to be Makabel Tumah.
So when it can be considered a liquid. So the one up in this Mashiach, when you think about taking that honey, that is the liquid. Another one is when you either start taking it out, spreading it out, or when you start smoking it, some of these will go away.
So in Bishama is like this. It's a two gersois. What he means, either Mishihar what he thinks, or when he smokes it. Right. Bishama Basila holds it has to be actual liquid. Yeah. Cool. All right. So now the Rebbe says at least on the Svaris and Pluksa Bisham Basila, their Pluksa Bachalis Tavash. Was is Vigret Kampam verbunden mit Chiluk Kolel zwischen Nazir Shittis. We spoke about many times that whenever he speaks about Achlekes Bisham Beisilo, many times he spoke, let's say in Chanukah or other Achlekesin, that Beis Shammai is always looking at the koyach, the potential of the thing, and Beisilo is speaking about Basar B'Poel, speaking about the actuality. So we spoke about many times, Azlina Basar B'Koyach, do we go after potential? Other or Azlina Basar B'Poel, we go after actuality. Beis Shammai halt as Azlina Basar B'Koyach. When did Rebbe kommt es adin Mashka gleich Mishiacharer, oder für den Mishiacharer, aber Bekech ist es schöner Mashka, auf Pias is nur, as noch weit von Mashka B'Poel. So Beis Shammai holds that when it comes to Chaz Tavash, we go after the Bekech B'Poel. So therefore, once you smoke it, or even once you think about it, since potential has the ability to be a liquid, so therefore it's Makabel Tumo. Und Beis Hillel halt, as Lina Basar B'Poel, or the Rebbe is nicht kein Mashka bis, wird Mashka B'Poel, Mishiach, and therefore, Beis Hillel, who's always looking at Basar B'Poel, he'll tell you that it only is going to be a masha, only is going to be Makabel Tumo once it actually becomes a liquid. Now, Reitis Arez and Afkamina and the Kolel Inyan for Mataras B'Yas Adam Allah Arez was the Bresi Shamash Eskeni Kida Kamon Sivches Meilach Umeilach and Afkamina B'Negir the Shlemus Adam Idea with us. Now, this brings out an Afkamina in the general concept of why the world was created, why a man was created on the world. As we know, it says at the end of Kiddushin, I'm created in order to serve Hashem, and also be an Afkamina in the Shlemus Adam through his Avodah. We made a dafke noch puxas the Shama Beisila now, but besser verstandig the same Mishnah Asher HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahadol. So based once we explain clearly, we explain in a tifkite the machlekes to Shama Beisila, and with that hakdama, then we're going to appreciate the end of the Mishnah when it says Asher HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahadol shar elamis. Dal lashon middle Mishnah is lashon ksara with tachas of the so the terminology of the Mishnayos, which everything is written very bekitzer. But the Mishnayos says Asher HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahanchel fully. What does it say? That when Mashiach comes, he's going to give lahanchel as Yerusha shaylemis. As the chayre, if he passed the lahanchel in Yerusha, why is Mishnayos using a terminology of an inheritance? Yerusha is nicht verbunden mit der Aveda von der Gerish. Oib nor die geboren bekarva und von der Jerish zu der Gemela Jerish welchen setzt sich wegen Maden Schorn schon Sadikim hat gedarf stehen also das Brachalite der Kapanen. If we're speaking, what are we speaking about? We're speaking what's Yerush? Yerush means you didn't work at all for it. You're getting it because whatever, you're a Yerush, one of the is a Yerush. So that's why it gets to Yerusha. So why are we using the expression of Yerusha? Or we're speaking about somebody about Matan Skaran, a reward. A reward means something you worked for. So also HaKadosh Baruch Hu should have said, Lita, Hashem's going to give it. It's me as Nachbias. The question is even stronger. The Zav Maimer, Merkibracht, and Mesechta Sanhedrin. The same, the Maimer Chazal is brought in Mesechta Sanhedrin. Und dort steht Tage, also HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lita Nachot Tzaddik B'Tzaddik Shailamis. And there, Tage says that Hashem is going to give 310 Elamis to the tzaddikim. Shlemar as Hiani says, the Rebbe says, the question, is the answer. The minor of Sefas Sanhedrin, Gwelt is Gezok Gumaran, Dorf Ambeida, Rava Bar Mori, Atakabegin, Schar HaMitzvus. In Sefas Sanhedrin, which that's the Mori, Rava Bar Mori, he's speaking about the reward for mitzvahs. Or did he result there? Asher HaKadosh Baruch Hu litin. That's why over there he uses the terminology litin. Why? Because we're talking about askar mitzvahs. A person works hard, he gets a reward. So it passes the lashon of Asher HaKadosh Baruch Hu litin. Aber der Mishnah was kommt out zion v'chit Mishnayis. Now this Mishnah we're talking about is concluding the entire Mishnayis. That's it. Nid begen schar ha-mitzvahs bepashtus. We're not speaking about the actual reward for doing a mitzvah. We're speaking about the level that a tzaddik reaches at the completion of work. And the Dibber is Shubalev Mdaik. That's why he's Mdaik. What's the nuance? What does he say? Asher Kadosh Baruch Hu lahanchil. The shleimus is bedugmas uve gidrei Yerusha. Whatever the shleimus is, look, we're going to explain. That is the shleimus avodah. That is when he's gaining, what he's attaining, what the Eibusher is giving to him. That's automatically that's together of Yerusha. Hey, Menigea Yerusha Zidu was the Rabbi Shabbos Mevar. As a Yerish is nit at Zweite Metzias was Bakum Nechosim for the Medish, Nerbelosh Nakosov Tachas Avisefa Yubanefa. The Yerish state became a Medish. A Yerish is an Ein Zach with the Medish, Etzem Abdul Shenit. Now, the Rabbi Shabbos explains, the Rebbe calls this the Rabbi Shabbos many times, so the idea of somebody who's a Yerish, somebody who inherits, it's not that he's becoming. It's not like he's becoming. He's a second Metzias, which he like a second entity that he receives the nechasim, that he receives the property of the one who's giving him the Yerusha. But rather, it's like the pasuk says that he is imkaim mamish. He's mamish. He takes place of the person who's giving him the inheritance. There it says when he gets to a yidin. So the same thing by yid. Yishlemos was very ufketon the mit. Was a yid len teiro. Was mekayim mitzvahs. Is was yisrael reiso kuchabricha kulachad. Gimel miskashen dovedok kuchabricha reiso yisrael. But kulachad. There it says durch kima mitzvahs loshen safse v'chiber. A yid werd kiviyochel ein zag with the nation atero or mitzvah mitzvah mitzvahs. The Eibusher nalin. Now, so the same thing by a yid at the completion that a yid and the yid that a yid it accomplishes when he is learning Torah and Mekayim Mitzvahs, which we know Yisrael and Reisa are Kulishad, as it says, the three things that connect Eibusher, the Torah, and the Yidin, and becomes all one thing. So, and the same thing by mitzvahs, as we know, a mitzvah is the idea of tzavsa v'chibar. A yid becomes one with the Neisra Torah and the one who commands the mitzvahs. Well, das is the pshat for the hanchol oyav. This is what it means that they inherited oyav yesh. The Rambam is mevaras the lashon yesh vayis if mitzias hatmidis asher ein lo tafas. The Rambam explains that the word yesh shows on a constant mitzias that there's no tafas. When the hanchol oyav yesh means, what does it mean? The hanchol oyav yesh the oyavai anachil say yesh hamuchlut. While kol nefesh shetiska l'chaylam abba leitechal leilam. What does that mean? We can nivra abag vol nemen ayesh amuchlut amatzias tvidis. I need for nitzchis to build a bagvul. How is it possible that a person who's a mitzias, who's a bagvul, who's limited, how is it possible that he's going to get something which is unlimited? So the pasuk mevar madlish. That's what the pasuk stresses and says. Lahanchel oya v'yesh yidem bakumin es nit alza mekabel fun anesin. We're not receiving this as like a giver gives somebody who's a nesin, that a nesin gives him a kabel. Atzveit mitzias vacha. Nentis fun nation. We're not talking about a makabel and a nation. Nor yidden zayin das neifel al siyedish was his ein zaf mit the medish. We are inheriting. Yidden zayin bonen lakalish baruch. The ribber b'shas hayid len teito was mekayim mitzvahs. Red is gala vi is ein mitzvahs min emes and yesh hamuchlim. Mitzvahs at midis oisi adem leikom.